All right, so I'm here with Aaron Rivkin of Ladder Coffee, one of my favorite places to go. If you've been, living under a rock, you might not know who he is, but I'd love for you just to introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, what are you guys doing over there at Ladder Coffee?
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me. My name is Aaron Rivkin. I actually come from Phoenix, Arizona. I moved to Spokane in about, I think it was about August of 2016. My wife and I kind of packed up our bags. There was a opportunity to work for a company out here. Took that opportunity. My wife's family is from here, and so we were like, let's go move closer to them. So we took that position, and then about a year and a half later, we realized like we just wanted to do this thing called coffee on our own. We owned a shop in Arizona called Cream Coffee before moving to Spokane, and that was a ton of fun. And in 2017, towards the end of 2017, we actually launched Live on the Front Porch. We were just serving friends on Saturday mornings. We had about 15 people coming every Saturday for the first couple of weeks, and then it just blew up. We had over 100 people coming to our house every Saturday. Um, just super unexpected. And then, from there, we just honestly, man, we just wanted to do things with excellence. We saw a need in the community for people to enjoy coffee done well, both from a sourcing and roasting side to a hospitality side. And so that's kind of what we're up to, man. Ladder Coffee is literally all about bringing the best coffees and the best service possible to everybody who enjoys it. So,
You're doing a good job at it. And I love that you tell that story about getting started on your front porch. I'm just curious, how did that feel when you started making coffee and seeing more people show up every week? That'd be a cool experience.
for sure. I mean, honestly, I look back and I'm like, what were they thinking? Like, why did they even want to come to my house? Like
Yeah.
this is some big goober over here trying to chase a dream of opening a coffee shop, and we had a bunch of crazy nuts, that bought into the visions and the values of what we were doing. And so honestly, it was really cool to see, 15, 20, 30, 50, 100 people coming. I mean, like it just was like growth, like so fast. And so I think honestly, Spokane was really hunger and desired just a difference in the coffee community. So, a company that was really focused on hospitality, that was really focused on understanding that people matter, both employee and guest. And so it kind of just blows my mind that people still like when everybody, anybody who comes in and just buys a bag of coffee off our retail shelf. I'm like, are you sure? Like, you sure you want to buy that? Because it blows my mind still, that people still want to support us.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know you have big dreams and aspirations and you just go after stuff. When you guys were serving, you know, coffee at that time, did you ever see it turning into what it is now?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, honestly, even what it is now is not what
Yeah.
I have in my mind. I think that as visionaries and as young uh, dream filled entrepreneurs like yourself, like we have like these big aspirations and these big goals, and we're always chasing, the score. We're always trying to chase the next thing. And so
Hmm.
honestly, the hardest thing that's been really difficult for me is to focus on like what's right now. And how do
Yeah.
I live in the moment of what is existing, even though it's not where I want it to be? How
Hmm.
do I how do I live in the current situation as if we were where we want it to be?
So I have my struggles with that as well, but how do you live in the moment? What do you focus on? Because it's so easy as someone who creates to just say, "Oh, I'll just go create another thing," and that will be really fun, rather than just focusing on the one thing and building it up. So what do you do? What are some things that you do to do that?
Yeah, I think honestly the biggest thing, I was actually talking about this on Instagram. I actually have kind of like a influencer style kind of Instagram.
Yeah.
It's Aaron J Rivkin, and I was talking about this actually today about how too many times we always focus on the future, but we forget to look back,
Hmm.
how far we've actually come. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that I do is I self reflect. Okay, like how far have I come? Like what what am I doing today to get me to where I want to be? But I need to look back to see how far I came from to know where I am today. And so I think too many people, focus on the future and they forget to look back, so that way they can focus on the present. Does that make sense?
Oh
Like,
yeah, that
I think for
that's
me, like the biggest thing for me is to be able to say, hey, like, this is where I came from, and that's where I'm going. But in the current moment, like one of my mentors, they call it your non-negotiable reality. Like, what's my non-negotiable reality? Well, I have 3 locations. I have about 18 employees, and I have, a decent sized wholesale business. So what do I want to be doing? I want to have 30,000 employees, 10,000 locations. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that's like the non-negotiable reality is like where I'm at today versus where I want to be. And so then understanding, okay, what are the things I need to do in the moment to be able to grow into the fullness that I feel is called inside of me. And I think that's probably honestly the biggest thing is self-reflection is okay, like where have I come from? Where do I want to go? But what are the tools in order to get me to move forward? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, yeah. And it can be super unfulfilling if you only focus on the future and you don't realize how far you've come. I totally get that. So what do you think
Yep.
sparked on this entrepreneurial spirit in you? What sparked you wanting to just achieve? Because it's pretty easy to not.
Yeah, I mean, well, like humble brag if I can. Like I'm really good at walking inside of a room and seeing 10 things wrong before I see 10 things right. Like it's probably one of like the worst and best parts of my character, right? Like
Yeah,
I love seeing things done with excellence. Like I love seeing things done well. And so if I'm just honest, like um I any room I walk in, I want to see it done well. And so I think that's what honestly sparked um being an entrepreneur is like I just want to see people and things done well. And so, I've made it an aim in my life to both equip people and to equip businesses to be able to do things with excellence because I think that's what sets apart every other person and every other business is how well are you doing it, and what is the value that you're bringing to the table.
hmm. Okay. So why the focus on people so much? And I know it probably sounds like an easy question, but you walk into so many restaurants or coffee shops and you can tell which ones truly care about the people that they're serving and they have this culture and maybe this team culture. Why do you care so much about that and the experience for not only the team member but also the customer walking in the door?
Totally. Yeah. So there's this book called The Power of Moments. And I believe that everything that you do can either spark life or death. Like you can either create a powerful moment that is going to create life for somebody,
Hmm.
or you're going to, potentially ruin um, that moment. Or, not saying that you're going to kill somebody by any means, but like, you're
Yeah.
going to ruin um, this moment that could have been so beautiful. And so, um, people are a product, coffee is what we serve, or sorry, coffee is what we make, and people's who we serve. And so I
Yeah.
think that too oftentimes people forget that. Like I've walked into places like, hey, like what do you guys serve here? I love asking that question just to see like, oh, we serve coffee, like, oh, we serve donuts, just because
Yeah.
I want to see like, do they understand the factor of like, oh, you're actually serving people, like the people are what matter.
Yeah.
And so I just think that I think often in life people need to understand that like you're valuable. And so I think that's why for us we have focused so hard on people is that people you know they matter, and we want to be able to encourage them that uh, who they are matters, whether you're drinking your fancy cortado or you're drinking your white girl white chocolate mocha. You know what I mean? Like we want to be able to focus on those moments with people where we can lift them up and encourage them. And so I think that too oftentimes, especially in like specialty industries, whether it be food and beverage or fashion, like too many people focus on the brand or on the product, and they forget that it's the people who are actually making their brand successful.
Hmm.
And so for me, like we're just going to focus all the time on people.
Right. No, I love that. And honestly, as a customer of yours, I always look forward to going into ladder. My spot is the Monroe. location just because it's closer to my house. And, it's just a place where I can go and I know I can relax, get amazing coffee. There's great
Yeah,
people. And I don't know, I saw in an interview where you like want to create living rooms within the cities and, the community. And it's definitely a place where I look forward to going. And so I'm just curious. I know you probably touched on
most
it a little
definitely.
bit, but when someone walks in the door, what's your hope that they feel or experience?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, I mean, you said it, like we want to be able to bring, living rooms to the cities that we're planted in.
Hmm.
I believe that we have the opportunity to make a difference in people's lives just by serving them coffee. And so why not make it the best experience they can? For us, like we often have, kind of a company culture. It's like, why wouldn't we give 5-star hospitality? Why not? Like, why wouldn't we give our best to people? Uh, if we expect them to return, especially in the food and beverage industry where it's so tip based and so, you
Right.
know, hours depend on how many people are coming in. And so, like, if you want more hours, you have to be, extroverted and really dialed in on your service. And so, like, why wouldn't we put that much care and attention into the details uh, of people and helping them understand that, like, yeah, that people matter. And so I think that's like, yeah, that's my hope, is that every person who walks in feels a sense of like community and love and understanding that like what and who they are matters.
Right. I love that. Okay, so let's just say, looking from the outside, you see the beautiful coffee shops that you have, you see the success, you see that you have, fans in the city. Someone could go, "Oh, that must have been easy."
Sure.
Was it always easy?
Can you ask that question one more time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People might think that it was maybe easy for you. Was the journey always easy starting this business?
Gotcha. I feel like I'm an anomaly. It was for me, honestly, it was pretty easy in the sense of like the general startup. Starting a business was pretty honestly pretty easy. Uh, getting a business license, getting people to be attracted to the brand, um, people saying yes to supporting us. Like generally, all of that was pretty easy. The thing that caught me off guard was my leadership. If I'm just honest with you, I thought I was the goat. Like I thought my leadership was that gold.
Yeah.
And then I just realized slowly, like there was holes in everything that I was doing, and so I was asking my mentors, like, "Hey, like, what do you see in me that I don't see in me that I need to know about me? Because obviously, I can't. It's hard for me to retain employees, or they're getting mad at me when I do this or whatever." So I think that that was honestly one of the most difficult things um, of learning was how do I lead people, right? Because like I can do the whole business, I can create the flashy brand,
Yeah.
but 90% of what we do is people, in leading people. And so, um, that was the part where I found it pretty difficult. And I still do, I have a lot more uh, years under my belt as a leader. I have almost, 9 years in business total, 7 years with Ladder. And so it's come a long way since then, but I still have mentors that I'm reaching out to. Hey, tell me what you think. Help me
Hmm.
understand this. What would you do here? I think that's honestly been one of the most helpful things for me is having mentors along the way to say, hey, you're sucking right now,
Yeah.
or hey, you're doing a great job. Keep that up. Um, so yeah. So yes, it's been easy, but it's also been difficult at the same time.
So, how are you able to take that constructive criticism and implement it? Because, I mean, just for myself, I, I don't like the idea of maybe having a boss. I like to do things my own way. And so, I think in order to grow, you need to do that.
Totally.
But how do you take that criticism and still go out and lead how you want to?
Yeah, one of my leaders. We talk about what does it look like to have people inside your truth circle, and uh, one of the things you need to be able to do is to be able to listen to feedback and implement it right away. I
Yeah.
think that too many young entrepreneurs they'll say they want mentors or they'll say they want to listen to people and give them advice, but they're not willing to actually implement the feedback that they're given because it's not their way.
Yeah.
Too often in times in my young leadership, I did not listen, and all of a sudden I had to close down one of my locations because I didn't listen 2 years ago and they said, "Hey, probably not a good idea," right? And so, um, again, I've learned it all the way through, the past 7 years of being in business with Ladder. Again, my mentor says, hey, like people, good leaders, they listen to feedback and they implement it quickly. And so I think that's like honestly the best thing that I can, best advice there. It's just implement the feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I love that. And okay, so you said coffee is what you make, people are who you serve.
Yeah,
Um, why
yeah,
why
exactly.
choose coffee? What made you so interested in coffee and using that basically as your way to serve people?
It's funny. People ask me that question all the time. I don't know. If I'm just
Yeah.
honest with you, like coffee is just always something that's been part of my life. My first job was with Starbucks. I was working in a church coffee shop there. When I got, some people don't know my story, but I was incarcerated for a year, two-time felon, ex-heroin addict. When I got out of incarceration, it was the coffee industry that welcomed me back in. Uh,
Hmm.
into employment. Like they were the first ones to give me a job, and so it's kind of just been like what I've done. But then also too, I think one of the big things that has drawn me to coffee is uh, the artistry side of it. Like there's a lot of ways to be able to create a coffee business that is so unique to you and how you design it, but
Hmm.
also to withhold the same standards as another business. So like one of the businesses that we are so um, up with, some of my biggest mentors in coffee is Nolan from Proud Mary. I just got on the phone with him a couple weeks ago. He was one of the people who said, "Hey, you should probably close down your north location." And I was like, "No, no, no, we can make it through." And I lost. I'm not even gonna tell you how much money I lost. It was hundreds of thousands of dollars. And for me, it's been this whirlwind of finding the right people to listen to, and uh, I think so. Again, I guess I'll circle back. Coffee has just been something that's been it's easy. Most people drink coffee, or most people know somebody who drinks coffee, and it's a good meeting place, and um,
Yeah.
it's a very approachable business. The profit margins are low, but there's a ton of drinkers out there. So to captivate, a ton of drinkers, that's a good challenge for me.
Right. Okay. So a lot of people, they would probably, they hear you talk about mentors, and a lot of people who are go-getter, they want a mentor, right? So how do you go about finding mentors in your life and business? That's hard.
You go ask people to be your mentor.
Yeah.
Like
Do you,
that's it. I think too many people they wait for somebody to say, "Hey, will you mentor me?" Their mentors are not looking to mentor people. They're waiting for someone to come say, "Hey, I like I like the way you live. Would you mind mentoring me?" I think,
Mhm.
for me, and I think of the mentors in my life, I've approached all of them. I've said, "Hey, I love your lifestyle. I love what you do. I want to embody the things that you create. Would you mind allowing me to come under your wings and learn from you?" Too many young entrepreneurs think that they're going to get this like golden ticket to sit under Jeff Bezos, or
Yeah.
you know, uh, some big name entrepreneur, and it's like that's just not common. Most entrepreneurs are probably right around you. There's
Yeah.
probably multimillionaires, and also too, I think, let me say this: not all mentors need to be um, wealthy people.
Mhm.
Some of the best mentors that are co-laborers in life. Like I think of my friend Danny Porter. Um, you know, not this multimillionaire, not this elaborate business owner, not this major role player, but he is one of the most wise, one of the most sentimental, and I love the way that he fathers. I love the way that he dads. I guess that's the same thing.
Mhm.
I love the way he husbands, and so like I look at his life and I'm like, that's what I want to model. So I think again, too often in life people wait for people to approach them when you should be going to somebody saying, "Hey, I like the way that you live. Can I come under your wing?"
I like that. Sometimes I feel like maybe people get caught up in saying they have to add value, to the mentor, and it feels like a almost like a take, but people like sharing.
Totally. Yeah. And honestly, they wouldn't be a mentor. Oh, I should say, let me back up. I want to be careful with this because I think regardless of your life, you always add value. It's in most of the quiet moments where I have added the most value to the mentors in my life. It's by saying nothing and everything all at the same time is where I've added the most value. I can think of some of my mentors where I know that I am in rooms that I shouldn't be in, and me just being in that presence, like that's enough value for them to say like, hey, like that's my protege, or that's someone who I am training up. Like that's enough, for them. And most mentors don't need anything. They don't
Right.
need anything from you. So I think it's a joke to think that you have to add value to your mentor's life, or try to think that you need to add value, because it's just not true. Most mentors, the reason why they're your mentors because they already have their life together.
Yeah. Yeah. And they want to
So,
help. And it feels good for them to help too. It's not a burden.
oh yeah,
Um, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yep.
Okay, so the name ladder, was it just a name, or is there a deeper meaning to ladder?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a deeper meaning. Honestly, I always tell people like if I could go back, I would change it just to something more cool. But it does have a meaning. I'm again like the two-time felon ex-heroin addict thing. Like everybody has a life ladder. Everybody is climbing their way to success, and so for me, like that's kind of my entrepreneurial goal, is to be able to be a rung in people's life ladder. Whether you're working for us for 15 years, or you are someone who I'm consulting, or you're just a general employee, who works for us maybe seasonally. Like my hope is that you learn something while you're within our company, and that you climb a personal life.
Nice, nice. Okay, so you mentioned you had a rougher past. How do you think that has shaped how you think, and how you go about your life now and make decisions and stuff like that?
Yeah, great question. I think that it honestly, I mean, it frames a lot of what I do. Again, kind of like looking at the past, like I have to do that constantly to remind myself, hey, bro, like it's really easy for you to get right back there. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
it does. It shapes every decision that I make. It shapes the way that I think. It shapes the way that I view my position in the community. And so it's also very humbling, because it could be both a crutch and a reward at the same time, because someone can look at me and be like, oh, two-time felon ex-heroin addict. Or someone can look at me and say, oh, wow, that's a two-time felon ex-heroin addict. Look how far he's come. And
Mhm.
so, like, I have to be careful, in a position that I hold, is how do I, um, yeah, how do I allow my past to build my future, not necessarily allow my past to manipulate my future. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Do you think, and I know you mentioned your Instagram and that you're kind of doing more influencer type videos. Do you almost feel not an obligation, but this need to share and show people what's possible and what they're capable of?
Man, I believe that there's unique seeds of leadership in everybody. My
Yeah.
my mentors have built this deep, rich understanding in me that there are unique seeds of leadership in me. And so if they're in me, I know they're in you. And so like why would I not help people uncover the gift that is inside of them and help them flourish? Like
Yeah.
if it's not me, it's going to be somebody else. And frankly,
Hmm.
like if I'm just honest, like I think I do a pretty good job at helping people see the good in them. You know, it's again, this is not like humble brag or me trying to like pat myself on the back. I just think that like, I have a unique way of talking to people, and call it my personality, or whatever you want to call it. But like, I just think that for me, like been able to build this dynamic in myself of understanding who I am, and I love being able to help people uncover the true gift that's inside of
Yeah, I love that. And I think I mean, that was just, that kind of hit me a little bit because I try and figure out, okay, what am I good at? And honestly, I don't like to teach and I don't like to tell stories. I don't, that's not my gift. But I think one of my gifts is talking with people like you and getting your story out there. And so I'm like, that's why I love this podcast and
it.
that's
Sure.
my contribution. But I do think you're a fantastic teacher and leader. And so I think that totally makes sense. But yeah, using your gifts and not just holding them inside, you know?
Yeah, and honestly, and helping people understand, like, okay, hey, you maybe you're not going to be in front of people, but that doesn't make you second place. I think this is a
Hmm.
common misconception in the second chair leadership. Too many people think that second chair leadership, meaning that you're not the CEO, you're not the lead pastor, you're not the you know the entrepreneur. Like you may be the second chair. Like I think of my operations director, right, Heather. She is the one who holds this thing together called Ladder Coffee. She is the glue. And it's because she has realized that her second chair position does not mean that she is second place. She understands that she plays a
Hmm.
role in our company that I cannot do it. Like I feel I am not. I am the big dreamer. Like I love coming up with big vision. I love helping people like
Yeah.
find their unique seeds of leadership inside of them. But I'm not an executioner. I am not the person who like executes tasks. I'm just not good at it. So I've been able to find people like Heather, my operations director, saying, "Hey, here's my vision." And you know what she does? She uncovers the unique seeds of leadership into the employees, saying, "Hey, I like the way that you talk to that guest. Would you mind being able to create a curriculum around hospitality?" You know, so it's like helping people understand the uniqueness inside of them is only unique to them. It doesn't mean that just because they're not holding a position of authority doesn't mean that they're in leadership. My pastor says this, that leadership is influence. And everybody has influence, so therefore everybody's a leader.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I love that.
and so helping people understand that leadership is influence, and everybody has influence, and you're leading somebody. If you're not leading anybody, you're leading yourself, and that's still somebody.
Hmm. Right. And I think it's easy, especially for maybe someone online, to look at the vanity metrics and maybe get discouraged and say, oh, this only had
Sure.
100 views or 10 likes or whatnot. But if you have
Dude,
hundred
I
people, like talking to 100
I
people is a lot.
praise the heck out of that. And one person's a lot. I
Yeah.
think too many
Yeah.
people poo-poo the metric things. Like you have an influence over one person, you better steward that thing so well. You better be so careful with that one life, because that means that one person is trusting you to lead them. And if you're
Yeah.
not careful, your influence can really hurt people. And so if you're not careful, you may think that one person or those 10 people or those 100 people, they don't matter, but it's just not true. I think of
Hmm.
like big influencers. Let's say like Mark Zuckerberg, for instance. Multi-million
Yeah.
followers on Instagram, created Facebook. He has all of these. He has all these followers, but I guarantee the one person matters to him as just as much as all of them, because he
Yeah.
knows that one person can add value just like all of the rest of them.
Right.
And so
Right.
I think if we're not careful as young entrepreneurs, we can really damage the lives of people by um, telling people that they don't matter. It's like how sick would it be to hear, you know, your favorite Instagrammer, let's say they have, whatever, even if they have 12 million followers, to hear them say, that one person doesn't matter, like it'd be sick and
Yeah.
twisted. So why would I do that? I wouldn't do it then. So why would I do it now? Which, I only have 7,000 followers, but I have 7,000 people who are watching my Instagram daily.
Yeah.
Why would I not take care of them? Anyway, this is a whole different tangent, but I just think that people, you're right. I think people get so caught up in, um, yeah, that they don't have the big following. You know what's more important, in my opinion, is micro influencers than actually these big influencers, because no one
Yeah.
knows who the big influencers are. They really don't. Micro
Right.
influencers, there you would see this happen more often in businesses, that businesses are actually targeting micro influencers more often than trying to get The Rock to do a commercial for them, right?
Right.
Like Ladder Coffee is about to have Terrence McKinney. Do you know who Terrence McKinney is?
No, I don't. I'll look him up though.
Terrence McKinney is a UFC fighter. He's from Spokane or lives in Spokane, and Ladder's about to have Terrence McKinney do a commercial slash like ad for us, right? But
Nice.
the
Nice.
biggest thing, are you still there? Okay.
Yeah.
The biggest thing um, is not Terrence McKinney, but it's the people who follow Terrence McKinney, because I want those people, because I care way more about the micro influencers and the big influencers, because I know that it's the micro influencers who are actually adding value to my business. Because you know who doesn't come into my shop all the time? Terrence McKinney. But you know who could potentially come into my shop or engage with my shop more often? His followers.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so
It's good to me
anyway,
too.
my thoughts on big influencers versus micro influencers, and the importance of them both.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay, I want to kind of get back on coffee. I just have a couple questions about the whole coffee situation, and why do you think it's so important? Because you guys are a roastery, right? So why is it important to do the roasting in house and not just buy from a different wholesale roaster?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly it's two things: is we can control um, the actual excellence that we provide. Number one, to go simple answer. We get to control the coffee that we serve. We want the best coffee possible for our guests, and so we get to roast it. And then number two, it costs us less money, and so we get to put more money into, let's say, employee costs, or buying better coffees, or building out new cafes. And so that's really the simplest answer, is understanding that it saves us money, and we get to control the variables.
Right. Okay. Do you are you looking to expand your wholesale? Like, would you love to service coffee shops all over? Or I mean, I feel like I know the answer, but yeah, what's your plan?
Yeah, yeah. Wholesale is the name of the game in the coffee industry. That's how we make our money. That's our bread
Okay.
and butter. We're actually, I can't say too much, but there's a very big hotel chain that we're about to sign on, and I'm so excited about it. But yeah,
Nice.
definitely. More wholesale, the better for us. It just means more influence and more people to reach. In 2024, we're starting an initiative with Big Table, where when you buy a bag of coffee, we're going to donate money towards a local nonprofit called Big Table, which they service men and women in the food and beverage industry, people who are maybe down on their luck. And they actually, just side note, they actually helped us as a family during the pandemic, and so we want to give back to them.
Oh, that's
So
fantastic.
every time you become a wholesale partner, with every pound sold through our wholesale program, you actually get to support people in the food and beverage industry.
Right on. Okay, I got a question. So we used to have a company where we did a lot of Facebook and Instagram advertising, and our, average order value was, around $40 or $30. And that advertising has gotten so expensive. Do you guys run ads to sell your
Yeah,
coffee on your website, or how are you going about doing that?
we are all organic as of right now. But we're actually about to switch to. We're gonna try doing paid ads. We're gonna see if it works.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
coffee's
yeah,
really nice because
ladder's been built on organic.
did I lose you? No. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So
Okay. And do you have like subscription programs that people can buy into?
yeah, absolutely. So people can go onto laddercoffee.com and purchase a subscription. You actually get a discount when you actually go on our website and sign up for a subscription. It's actually a little bit cheaper than, let's just say, if you were to buy it at a time. So definitely.
Right on. Okay. So what's next for Ladder? I know you're working on some other things, and I kind of want to get on that later. But
Yeah.
what's on the docket for Ladder moving forward?
Honestly, man, we are just grinding slow. I think that we are in this position right now
Yeah.
where we um, we've seen an explosive growth, and it was so much fun. But we're just in the position now where we're kind of just taking it slow. Uh, we want to see people succeed, and part of that is, taking our time, expanding the inner sides of the business. She has brought on an investor, and he's going to help us grow financially. Uh, and
Nice.
so, understanding that, you know, growth is necessary, but internal structure has to grow first before you can grow outwardly.
Right on. Okay, this is kind of an oddball question, but you're a dad, I'm a dad. My life changed when we had kids in so many ways. You're doing a lot of stuff. How do you make it all happen as a dad with young kiddos?
Man, I think the best thing is just living in every single moment. I'm not good at it. I'll be the first person to tell you that I still struggle with, you know, yeah, being the best dad that I can be, being the best husband I can be. But I think honestly, the best thing to do is to live in every single moment like it's the last. I know it's kind of super cheeky and corny, but I think that, being there for your kids, getting excited about the things that they're getting excited about,
Yeah.
getting on the floor and playing with them. Again, these are all things I suck at sometimes. And my wife will probably watch this and be like, "You do what?" Uh, but those are the things I think that you should do as a father, and I try to do as much as I can. I remember saying like, "Oh, I'll never be like my dad," but I now like look back and I'm like, "Oh, my dad was actually a really good man." Uh, and so, um, I think for me, it's just, yeah. I think the simplicity answer is just live in every single moment like it's the last. I look at my son now, who's 6 years old, and I'm like, "What the heck happened to you, bro? Like, you're like a full young adult. Like the way he talks to me, I'm like, where's my baby at?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What do you think? This is something I think about all the time, and my oldest is 4.5, so it's not going to happen for a while. But with college or entrepreneurship and all that stuff, like what do you see that looking like, or are you just like, I don't
dude,
know?
everybody hates on me about this, but my dad did not give me any money. My grandfather did not give me any money. I grinded so hard to get to where I am now. That doesn't mean that when tough times happen, they didn't help support me in ways.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to buy my kid his first car. I'm not going to give him his college tuition. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's silly. Now, maybe I'll do something where it's like, okay, hey, for every dollar you save, I'll give you a dollar, or I'll match it twice, or something like that. But I
Hmm.
think I think especially nowadays, we live in such a me generation that I think kids are going to think that college should be done for free, or entrepreneurship should be, handed to, like, they should be handed my business. I'm selling my business, and if my son wants to offer me the millions of dollars it will be worth, then great, I'll sell it to him. You know, but I'm not going to sit here and give anything away for free. I think, again, too often in life, um, especially nowadays, is we're being taught by media and by people, and this may be a little bit too touchy, but that things should be handed to you for free, and that you deserve everything, and it's just not true. Like, you
Hmm.
deserve to do things with excellence. You deserve to work hard, and then whatever the result is because of those things. That's what you deserve.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I
So again,
am.
that might be a little a little taboo. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm going to pay for my kids' college." The hell I am. Like, I have a retirement, and I want to spend the rest of my life on the beach with my wife. Like, that's going to be expensive. Now, again, before someone takes this out of context, and before someone creates a soundbite, that does not mean that I don't love my kids well. It just means that I want to be able to see them chase after their dreams, and I want to see them pursue it. I want to see them, you know, doing things with excellence, so therefore they can earn what is deserved. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And when you own a business, you realize how hard it is to make a dollar, and you don't want to just give it away or not let someone experience that, because through the hard stuff, you know, you have another quote. What is it? Comfort and growth can't coexist. I heard that you said that,
Yeah,
but you have to be uncomfortable to be able to grow. And so,
totally. I can't
um,
remember where I heard that from. Honestly, anything that I say, I just regurgitate to from
oh,
really famous people and really well-known people. So, but yeah,
yeah,
I honestly do believe that. Though. I don't think you can be comfortable and grow at the same time. I think I think that it's in the tension is where you grow. And it's in where it's in comfort where you find yourself stagnant, and not moving towards growth. And so I don't think, yeah, I don't think comfortability and growth can coexist.
right. Okay, so I'm seeing some streetwear stuff going on your Instagram. So tell us about this
Yep.
clothing business that you're building.
Yeah, man. So I just believe in 2024 moving forward, if you are not finding ways to make money, you are going to live a very, very um, seldom life. I don't know how to explain it. I just think that if I'm just honest with you, the state of our country, the state of our politics, the state of our money, like if you're not finding new ways to make more money, you're going to find yourself very, I don't want to say unhappy in the sense that uh, money is not what I'm chasing. What I'm chasing after is ways for me to be able to physically survive. I just think that with inflation and everything else, if you don't have a side hustle, or if you don't have something, that is causing yourself to put some money in savings, I think you're going to miss the mark. You're going to be 50 or 60 years old, about to retire and have 10K in the bank, and that's it. And so, honestly, man, I'm starting more businesses so that way I can tuck away as much money in savings as possible. I just think that moving forward, I see a country that's going to be, if I'm just honest, like there's going to be two classes. I think there will be a wealthy class and a poor class. I just think that again, this is super, super taboo to talk about this, but I just think that we're not going to see a middle class. We're going to see a wealthy class and a lower class. And so that's kind of like where the ideas are coming from is like, how do I create more streams of revenue? I want my kids to go to college. I want to live in a nice house. I want to be able to retire someday. So what can I do? And I was able to take $1,000 and gear it towards this new brand called Dawn. I created a brand with a buddy of mine named Jordan Houghton. He was out in Kissimmee, Florida.
Mm.
And so, yeah, we started this company called Dawn Streetwear. And it's just solely focused on high end fashion, getting high end fashion kind of out of an affordable price. And so that's what you're seeing. It's just more streams of revenue for us while creating ethically and sustainable businesses. I'm not just creating businesses just to make millions of dollars. Like I still want to be able to provide jobs for people, to be able to give back to communities. I think it's in the entrepreneur's uh, right to be able to create wealth, but also to give back to the people who support them.
Yeah, and I think that's
It's a
great too
very
because
long-winded answer. I hope it made sense.
no, it's great because we do things too, and sometimes businesses don't work and sometimes they do, but it just goes to show it doesn't take investors or hundreds of thousands of dollars to have an idea and start something. You get a
Totally.
business,
Yep.
you get some
Totally.
products, and you sell them. You know,
Yep.
and so
Dude, I don't even have a business license yet for Dawn. Like
yeah, yeah,
I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
yeah, and it's
Like
worth it.
let's say if I'm able to sell. Totally. Because what happens if a Don becomes a Fear of God or a Gucci, or all of a sudden people are rocking a Don in every single country, and all of a sudden we have the biggest name in fashion. What if?
Hmm.
I'm willing to chase it.
Yeah,
Like same thing
you
with
have to start.
Ladder. What if Ladder becomes a Starbucks? What if Ladder becomes a Blue Bottle? What if Ladder becomes one of the bigger names in coffee? I don't know, but I'm willing to chase it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's exciting. And that's
So
what I want people to kind of hear and understand is like it doesn't take a lot to give an idea a shot. And I'm always for going after an idea and seeing if it works because it's better to gosh, I heard this quote. It was like, I don't know, it's better to feel disappointment rather than like worry about being I don't know. It's better to fail than not try at all. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. And honestly, dude,
so
I
I was
think too oftentimes I think people are put themselves into fear, which causes them to roll into inaction because of that fear. And all of a sudden now someone else does their dream and they're pissed off because that person did their dream and they're doing a crappier job. But it's like you didn't go for it. So you have no right
yeah.
to be mad. You didn't pursue your
Hmm.
dream. So like for
Right.
me, there's an Instagram video that I have that talks about this. It's like you can't be mad at people who pursue your dream. You didn't do it. So
Yeah.
which leads me to the question is like you already don't own the business, so what are you waiting for? So like
Hmm.
let's say you start the business and it fails. You already don't own it. Let's say if it fails, you're right back to square one. It's not like you're losing anything. Sure, you may
Right.
lose some financial compensation, but that's easily to get back. Like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff is next to none when it comes to the reward that happens within entrepreneurship. Too many people don't take the risk. They sit back on their hands and let other people take the risk and get, excuse my language. No, I'm not gonna say it. Get mad when someone else does their job and it's crappier. You can't get
Hmm.
mad.
Yeah.
You didn't do it.
Right.
So
So how do you, this is probably a topic that a lot of people run into when starting a business or maybe doing some sort of influencer type videos like you, but how do you deal with comparison and maybe not being where you want to be, knowing you're just starting out or you have a new business or something like that?
yeah, I think comparison is the breeding ground of criticism. I think that too many people allow comparison to creep in, and all of a sudden, it's the breeding ground of criticism, and all of a sudden you're criticizing so and so. And I think too oftentimes comparison becomes the death of you. Like
Hmm.
I think for me, like I look at some of my competitors, and I'm like, great, I'm glad they're doing it that way. I would never do it that way, but I'm glad they're doing it that way because it just means I have a better advantage. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't
Yeah.
allow I don't allow criticism in my life. I just especially comparison, like just comparison is so yucky. Like it's just like it's a child's game. So I just don't
Yeah.
let it. If I'm just honest with you, like that's the simple answer for me, bro. I just don't allow comparison to creep in. And any young entrepreneur that I coach or anybody that comes to me for guidance, like that's what I would tell them the same thing is like just don't let comparison in because it will be the breeding ground of criticism, and then all of a sudden you'll be hating everybody because they do something differently than you.
Right. Right. No, that's great. And I think I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just have a couple questions I like to ask at the end of each chat. We live in Spokane.
Yeah,
It's a fun place. What's like your favorite thing to do in town? What do you like to do here?
yeah. Oh man. Honestly, I love the food scene. The food scene's growing quite a bit here in Spokane. Well, I think I will
Yeah.
sometimes go to comedy shows. Those are pretty fun here in Spokane. We have a cool Broadway, Best of Broadway theater. That's pretty cool.
Mm.
What kind of homebodies? I'm just honest with you. It's like church,
Yeah.
coffee. We take the kids to Jump for Joy, which shout out Jump for Joy. If you're not a parent and you don't know about Jump for Joy, what are you even doing? Jump for Joy is the cheapest indoor little balloon or blow up. They have like all these blow up slide things in a giant jungle gym. It's like I think it's like $9 per kid per hour. Oh, dude, it's so cheap and it's the best.
Okay. We're
They have
going
these
there.
like chairs that massage you as a parent.
Mm.
Bro, Jump for Joy, you need to go. Shout out.
Okay.
Sponsor me, Jump for Joy. If you can hear this thing, sponsor me.
All right. I love that. I do agree. I love eating in Spokane too. There's some fun spots. I know we saw you at Wooden City one time. That's a great spot. Um,
Yeah,
okay,
that's my buddy John Green. John's doing some great things in Spokane.
I'm trying to get him on the show. So, you mind texting him or
I'll text him.
Okay, and then so
I got you.
who's someone in Spokane that maybe more people should know? I like this question.
Ooh, such a good question. Who's someone in Spokane that people should know? Honestly, the first person that comes to my mind is my pastor.
Yeah,
Not because he's my pastor, but because of who he is as a person. His name is Joshua Bingle, and I often tell people like ladder coffee would not be what it is without that man in my life. He is one of my best friends, also my pastor, so it's a very fun dynamic to be able to like play within. Like, it's a very unique thing that is not common, like for that kind of relationship, and so I had to be very very careful to make sure that like there's no blending of the two. Like when he's my pastor, when he's my friend, he's my friend, and that's a very hard thing to maintain, but it's so worth it. But anyway, I think that his brilliance, the way that he thinks, um, Josh is probably one of the best communicators when it comes to uncovering the gifts in people. Like I am the leader I am today because he's helped uncover the seeds of leadership in me. Like everything you hear, like the unique seeds of leadership, like that comes from Josh. Like everything that I kind of talk about with leadership, like most of it, probably 90% of it comes from Josh. And Josh is honestly just one of the best human beings on the planet. So I would say that's who you should probably meet.
great. I love that. That's fantastic. Aaron, thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing wisdom
Yeah,
and
man.
words today. Really appreciate you coming on.